BobalosRex here. In today's lore rant, I'm going to be talking about space and WoW space. Now, I'm a fan of space and space stuff. I got NASA shirts, all that. So we're going to be getting into the sciences in this discussion about WoW space. So, I'm not going to be arguing flat earth, none of that other stuff, whatever. We're arguing mainstream science. Alright. How I know it. Okay? And we're talking WoW. And how there is some interplay because with the latest Hearthstone expansion, we see a lot of very interesting cards and it's space themed. We hanging out with the alien we all know and love, the Draenei, and we're visiting. Well, I don't know if we're visiting places in that, but we're getting a bunch of space stuff, spaceships, and all sorts of stuff is going to be in that expansion. So I wanted to do a lore rant about WoW space and how it kind of works, as far as I know. Okay? Now, we could just assume it works like normal space or whatever and leave it at that. But there's some differences because there's magic. And we know that the WoW universe is made up of the 6 fundamental forces. They came together to create reality. And then that's where we get all the elements and whatnot that we see manifested. So, one of the interesting things, hold on, let's bring it up, that we got in this Hearthstone expansion is a bunch of really cool signature art that shows off some interesting things. So I'm actually going to bring it up. So first up, we're going to be looking. Hold on. There we go. This is called the Ceaseless Expanse. And it's basically a nebula. And I'm taking this as confirmation that we got nebulas in WoW, which is part of star formation, solar system formation, so fits in just well. But to see one manifested, it's like, could this be a prototype? Is this what eventually becomes a big world soul? But no, we see a solar system there. So maybe there's like smaller solar systems. And then you gotta wonder, like, you look at this ship, is that a small spaceship? How big is this compared to Sargeras? It really gets you thinking. Like, what kind of scale are we working with? And like, what's this thing's deal? Is this just a big elemental creature that's just like, what happens when this dies? Is what happens when this dies just a solar system is formed, Like, it's a creature like this pulling in material, and then once it gets enough material, it'll start spinning more, and it will collapse in on itself, and then just form a planetary body, or planetary system. Oh no, it's interesting. Now this one is kind of cool. So this guy is called a Star Breaker or something like that. I want to pull his name up in a second. But is he holding real stars? Are there stars that size? How big is he? I mean, he's basically a Galactus dude, but he's one of the Antaean. He is clearly one of the largest Antaean, if there is. Because, like, unless those are just little baby stars. He's like, I got the power of the star in the palm of my hand. It's like a smaller star, so we could assume that. But he does look good with those stars. And maybe he could break actual stars. Maybe he is that big. Sargeras can break planets. Could Sargeras break stars? It's a possibility, especially if star formation is a little different in the WoW universe, which it may, because look at this. It's called a red giant. It's an elemental. And it really makes me wonder, like, okay, so are some stars in the WoW universe just basically a big fire planet? A big fire planet makes a star? Because it would emit light and heat. You know, and speaking of light, we're going to talk about it when we get to the full cosmology, but maybe the kind of star Azeroth has isn't just one big fire elemental, but is a fire infused with light, and that's why we got a bigger one. Because I do wonder if this guy's star, planet, red giant, you know, is big enough to sustain planetary bodies. Because again, you look at these two, they ain't that big. And then you'd have to wonder, is that red giant small enough to fit on there? And he's just like, boom. Like, interesting. But that's why we do have to take some of this with a grain of salt. But it does make me think about what stars are in the WoW universe. Or if there's just full flame planets. Full water planets. Or icy planets. Probably. You know? If you do... the one guy's fight in Nighthold, I cannot remember his name right now. But you do his fight, he shows off a frozen planet. Alright, so that's one where water, the element of water won, and it was cold water. You know? Then we take a look, maybe we'll see asteroids just be rocky earth bodies full of the earth element, you know? Something like that. Maybe gas giants manifest as big air elemental planets. Something to think about. And then we have our spaceships. And this is what got me thinking about, and I'm going to get into this when I pull up the paper. I'm going to show y'all my paper in this lore room. But aliens. Azeroth has a lot of alien visitors. Alright? And if you saw during the Hearthstone video, I was then speculating, did the Draenei come to Azeroth sooner than we know? Because of the music choices? Which I don't actually think that. But imagine people on Azeroth, when they make a claim aliens are here, they got proof. They can bring the Draenei. Look, alien. So we are going to be talking about the aliens of the Warcraft universe as well, because we got spaceships. We got spaceships and all this kind of good stuff. Now here's another look at these beautiful signature cards. Spaceship, the Celestial Archives. We got Dimensional Cores, which kind of to me shows off like crystal magic and how that manifests. And then we got Exarch Othar. If you know who he is, then you may know the turn he takes. There's Zortoth, Breaker of Stars, as we saw. We got a Black Hole, which is actually a shadow spell. Okay, this is a shadow spell for Warlock. And then those two cards as well. This is tagged as an elemental, this is not. So this is beyond just the elements. I think that's kind of cool. Alright, so I just wanted to show off those card arts. They're really good. I can't wait to see some more. I know there's some more on the way. And there'll be a lot to check out. So, I am going to link this though. If you want to look up and not just hear me blab about it and do your own research, come to your own conclusions about some of this stuff, because I'm just going to speculate on some stuff we got going on here. But here, we got the Great Dark Beyond. I'm just going to read a bit of this because they summarize it really well, and then I'm going to bring up my paper, and then we're going to really discuss some stuff. So the Great Dark Beyond, also known as the Great Beyond, Dark Beyond, or Cosmos, is described as the physical universe. as we know. An infinite realm composed of innumerable stars, worlds, moons, and mortal civilizations. You know, like spaces, supposedly. We got aliens. I think there's aliens, so. Just like space. Azeroth is found in it, and is merely one of the countless worlds drifting through the cosmos. We now know that apparently we have a prime world soul in us, though. Azeroth is a little juicier than normal. Its counterpoint is the astral plane called the Twisting Nether. Okay, and that's where the demons come from. We got interdimensional demons flying over on their spaceships. Alright, you know. The physical universe is governed by the forces of order and disorder. Okay, that's arcane. It manifests itself as arcane energy, and disorder manifests as fel. And then the realm of disorder is called the Twisting Nether. That's what we think of as the realm of disorder. Whereas order, we don't really have a realm. We think the order realm is the physical realm, but that may not be the truth. So, and then the forces of life and death hold sway over every living thing in it. Pure light and shadow dwell in a realm outside the borders of reality, but shades of their presence can be found in the Great Dark. This is all quotes basically from the Chronicles, by the way, so I'm just reading Chronicles here. Where was I? Okay, the elements serve as the basic building blocks of all matter. We're going to talk about matter when we get to my paper and the implications, because just like in our universe, matter and energy, and they're two sides of the same coin if you get down to it. Matter and energy. E equals mc squared. Okay, think about it. Alright? For eons, the Titans of the Pantheon brought life and order to countless worlds while searching for others of their kind. Okay, yeah, this is the part we don't need. That's Titan. This is from the words of the Titans. Okay? So, that's a good, solid, this is what the Great Dark Beyond is. I couldn't make up a way to say it better myself. But, let's talk about my theories. Okay, we're gonna bring up the real theories here. Alright, now I'm gonna have to adjust where I am on the page, so just work with me. So, you're getting a look at a lore rant that I write up. For the first time. I may use this again. So real quick, let's talk about the Great Dark versus the Twisting Nether. Because they talk about the astral plane and what is a plane. Most people, maybe some normies to the coming in, don't really know how. Actually, maybe you do. Let's just break it down though. So we have the physical realm here. Let me paint. Why can't I paint? So we have the physical realm. Alright? Outside of it is the Twisting Nether. But we gotta think of the Twisting Nether not just around it on a 2D plane, but in 3 dimensions, and actually even a 4th dimension. Because just as easy, it's not something that I have to go, I have to travel. It's not like I have to travel from one point to get to the Twisting Nether. It's actually as easy as just poking through into the next dimension. So, say I'm in our normal reality, right? And I have a device that can take me, that can let me see or even take me into the other dimension. It would just be as easy as changing the light. Just boop, I'm now in the new thing. Or here, let's go to the demon dimension, Diablo style. Boom, I'm now in the demon dimension. All right, it's that phase in because it's surrounding me at all points. Okay? Now, demons have ways to access our reality as well. And through technology, these interdimensional demons have even managed to pull planets, aka the planet I'm on, into the twisting nether by bleeding its dimensional borders over into the planet. And I think this is interesting because I feel like we can kind of see it here. So if you look over by Azeroth, we have this normal looking space, but then you see this like blending here, and then over Argus itself is this green like realm. All right. And if you go to Outland, it has that same kind of feel. And it's called the Twisting Nether on Outland versus the Great Dark. Alright. Now, is space the realm of order or not? That is the question. Because it does seem that the Twisting Nether feels like the realm of disorder. And the reason I'm talking about realms is because if we go back to these original fundamental forces, okay, we have to talk about the first ones. Love them or hate them, we got to talk about them. Basically, there's a first one of each of these fundamental forces, and these are beyond our reality. These forces exist beyond, and these are the bases of these different dimensions. So we're basically living in a 6-dimensional space in WoW. We're talking about WoW. Okay, so supposedly we're in the Order one. Okay, then there's the Demon, the Twisting Nether. Then there is the Realm of Life, the Emerald Dream, the Realm of Death, the Shadowlands, and then a Realm of Light, where light exists, but light exists way out from reality. So some would include these and these as part of our reality, whereas these two as beyond. And we do kind of see this manifest in a way, because void can't enter. Void beings can't enter our reality properly. And we don't really see light enter our reality, light beings enter our reality, supposed light lords. Because if we assume that they work like the void lords. So in the light's case, the light sent out brilliant crystals of light throughout reality. Whereas the void sent the old gods. Which, I have to talk about this, we do see a realm associated with the old gods, and we think to be associated with the void being Nyalotha. Is that realm only manifested in our reality because of the old gods? Maybe. But it does seem to have a connection between the void. Which is funny, the Shadowlands do not have a connection to the void. They're actually free of it. Alright, and we do see these two realms very close to our reality because all living things interact with both of these realms in a way, in one way or the other. You know? And then, like I said, we have space, which could be the realm of order, and then the Twisting Nether. Now, according to Chronicles, the Twisting Nether and space, the void and light clashed and created... Well, we're actually told that all these forces came together. If we listen to Shadowlands lore, all the first ones came together to create our reality. Okay. And we do kind of see this mentioned in the Chronicles, but described in a different way. Light and void clashed, and from it, we got our reality as well as the twisting nether, which is more chaotic and where the light and shadow really bleed together. And then space is more ordered and where we see all the elements manifest. But it does make us think why, like, this order has its own realm, these have its own realm. Is there an order realm? We've heard of the Titan homeworlds. What does that mean? You know, Titan worlds. What does that mean? But we do not know, actually. Just yet. Alright. So that's kind of how all that works. Okay? Now, in the Great Dark Beyond, which is what I was showing early on, we have planets, we have moons, we see fundamental forces manifest, black holes. I have some theories there. But let's pull it back to our planet. Okay? We know there's a star. Azeroth has a star. The denizens of Azeroth associate that star, that sun, with a being called Anshe. Okay? And we associate our moon with a being called Elune. Now, there are interesting things about Elune being linked to life, and Anshe being linked to light. Okay, right, no, I can't. Okay. So the light. Are stars both a manifestation of fire and light in some way, or are only specific stars possibly that way? Because imagine, now that I'm thinking about it, imagine when the crystals got sent out, if it hit one of those fire bodies, the fire giants, a fire star, and then pumped it full of life or light, it becomes a bright, shining fire star. The other beings, because that's the interesting part. Our reality doesn't have magic. Well, at least not the way in WoW does. And WoW does. So, in WoW, our player characters can pull from these dimensions and channel energy and pull from it. And I'm going to talk about that here. What kind of we see as energy, what kind of stuff we see as matter in our physical world. Okay, but let's talk about our planet. Do we see tectonic? Because everyone wants to talk about geological features on Azeroth and what makes sense, what doesn't, using our normal physics. Planets in WoW do not work the same as planets in real life, from what I've seen. Tectonic activity. Do we see tectonic plates on WoW? Absolutely not. How are mountains formed on WoW? Because this is a big feature of tectonic activity. Titans tell people to move that shit. Elementals move that shit. Okay? This is not naturally forming mountains. Alright? So, again, we don't see any evidence for tectonic activity. How are moons formed in WoW? Well, this one's interesting. Okay. A moon could form kind of like how the moon was formed with Earth. Big body hits Earth. Pieces of it big enough form a mass around the Earth. You know, some larger objects can catch bodies going by. Like Jupiter, it has a tons of moon. I don't see Azeroth as Jupiter size. It could be a big Earth. It could be about Earth size. We don't actually know its full dimensions. I would love to see the actual proper way for you to think you can get the proper dimensions of Azeroth. But as far as I know, we would need a lot more data that we do not have to get proper dimensions of Azeroth. Because even our characters aren't properly dimensioned. Like, even our characters are not properly dimensioned. Unless Blizzard gives us hard planetary sizes, like, if one of the Draenei drops Argus is this big, then theoretically we could maybe size Azeroth, but using in-game, you can't get an accurate reading of how it's supposed to be in the lore. Okay? And then they can change the size, adjust the size, especially if we get new continents. So, we don't fully know how big Azeroth is. And if someone does, you would have to show me stuff from text. Okay? Not just in-game. Because in-game is flawed. Is inherently flawed. Okay? Okay. Anyways. So, moon formation. Mountain formation, we literally see it described by the elements themselves carving the Titans having giants carve mountains and all that stuff, okay? Alright? But here's some stuff we do see in the Great Dark Beyond. We see time. We see space. And they are seemingly interlinked like they are in our universe. We see gravity. But gravity is interesting. Gravity is manifesting, but I see there's an interesting connection between gravity and void magic that I think is interesting. As well as time and order. Alright, but let's get back to it. Let's get back to what I'm talking about. So, planetary science seems to be, if it's got a big juicy core with the Titan, the elements, you know, are going to go crazy on top. You can have fire planets, you can have ice planets, you can have rock planets, you can have planets covered in life. Draenor would have been a planet covered in life had Agromar not intervened. More on some of that stuff later when we talk about aliens. So, planetary science is kind of any man's game. Because we basically see these planetary bodies influenced by gravity and that kind of stuff. That's why it's round. You know, it needs a star to at least get some energy to it. You know, to cause weathers, whatnot. But we see a huge influence on the planet from just elements. Okay? And that's what makes me think maybe planets in Azeroth or in this universe don't get that big. Because we don't see a hard metal core. I don't think Azeroth has a hard metal core because we know it has a world soul. And how does that work? I don't know, but we see these huge hollow places in Azeroth, which again doesn't fit the normal physics of some of this stuff. Like, so the elements are the major factor of how a planet looks, or other outside forces. You know, how would Azeroth have looked once the old gods, you know, they start having giant masses pouring out into the sea, morphing continents, carving continents up themselves. We see the Titans change the continents itself. We see the people in Azeroth change how a continent is. I don't really see tectonic activity. You know, whenever there's a volcano, let's think about the big volcanic eruptions in Azeroth's history. Black Rock Mountain. Oh, they summoned an elemental. Okay. Oh, Ashenvale had that big volcano. Yeah, what would you see there? Big fire dude. Okay. Ungoro had a big volcano in the middle of it. Yeah, and what's there? Volcano, fire elementals. Alright, so elemental forces seem to influence how planetary bodies, continents, and stuff work. Alright. So planetary formation and moons works off some of our physics, but then heavily influenced by interdimensional beings, or elementals. So elementals, gods, or the robots the gods make. And I guess in some case, aliens. Alright? So, this kind of stuff, up for grabs. Now, let's pull it back. Let's start talking about the elements, the gods, the robots, and the aliens. So, as an Azeroth native, there's more than just these, but these are the main ones I put on here. So, elements are native across all planets. Alright? But then we also have the Azeroth natives. Trolls and elves are Azeroth natives. But I will say this. Trolls are the basics. All the other forms seem to be influenced by other things. Okay? Tauren, Azeroth built tough. Pandaren, Azeroth built tough. Volparis, Sethrak, Furbolgs, Tuskar, Murlocs, Wolvar, Proto-Goblins, which may be the pygmies themselves. But Proto-Goblins, all Azeroth natives. Okay? As far as we know. Even the Tara sect. I put the Tara sect here. Okay? But Azeroth got a bunch of people messing with it. Alright? So let's talk about the aliens. Just the aliens. So orcs are aliens, Draenei aliens, Ethereals aliens, Arakoa aliens, Arakoa orcs come from the same planet. Arakoa are actually more native to Draenor than the orcs. Saberon native to Draenor more than the orcs as well. The Botany are kind of there, but they're kind of invasive. I think something went on. Alright. But Botany there. And then the Akir are alien, yet kind of native. And may actually be native in a theory, but they were created here, but they're not. They would be robots, but they're fleshy robots. And we'll talk about some of that in a bit. So, Draenei, your normal alien. Ethereals are normal aliens, but their planet got blown up. Draenei planet got felled up. Alright. Ethereals lost their planet to the Void. Draenei lost their planet to the Fel. Alright. Orcs kind of lost it to the Fel. Same with Arakoa, Saberon. Now, let's talk about the robots, because a lot of races come from robots. So, the old gods went rolling around, and the Titans went rolling around on planets. And the Naru went rolling around the universe. Okay? Whereas low and wild gods kind of come from a planet, but are influenced by a fundamental force. Alright? And we actually may see some related to its opposing force as well that would count as these. Alright. So let's talk about the robots. And by robots, I mean beings manufactured. Okay? Some of these have now gone on to procreate the normal way. Well, our way. But these are originally printed out machines. Okay? Living machines. Earthen. Mechanomes. The Titan Keepers themselves. Raikul, Mogu, Tolvir, and then Magnaron on Draenor. Okay? Titans made all these dang robots. Okay? They're like, I like making robots, let's keep making robots. And then you wonder why we got the first one who also liked making robots. We just got a lot of robot stuff going on, okay? Then, old guy's like, you know what? I want to dabble with some stuff. What can I do to these robots? And we get some dwarves, we get some gnomes, we get some humans. Which is like, humans are the furthest away from robots because they de-robotify the Raikul. and then gave them even more flesh juice, and we got humans. Curse of flesh. Okay? And then the Magneron, which are big. Literally, you look up the story, Agramar blasted the elements into a mountain and it woke up. So he is kind of native to Draenor. So the orcs are kind of native to Draenor and not as alien to Draenor because this is made out of the rock. And then that's how we got the breakers and then eventually the ogres, and then those become the orcs. Alright, so cool, interesting thing there. But all kind of robots in a way. Alright? And it does make me think that the Titans themselves are just like molding clay on a planet to make these. So you could say that the Earthen are native. Okay? Because they're made of the rocks of the planet. Made of the elements of the planet. Which we now know celestial bodies are kind of a part of the elements. Stars are a part of the elements. And then I would say giants. Most of the giants we see are made from the elements or come naturally from the elements, as well as the deep walkers that we see down in Khazal Gar. Alright, we got Azeroth natives. And then we have interdimensional beings. Because WoW was like, let's go... Ignore this term. This is like a different term. Because this is like beyond our reality, which is what I meant. So then we got interdimensional beings. So we got the Eternal Ones from the Shadowlands. We got the Titans, maybe. Demons come from another dimension. Wild Gods can dip between our dimension and the Emerald Dream. So they are interdimensional beings. We got the Brokers. The Dreadlords, Venthyr, Kyrian, Night Fae, Necrolords. All from the Realm of Death. We wouldn't have never known about these guys had we not gone. But these are all beings that come from another dimension, and some of them have learned to cross over. Probably more of them. Brokers may be able to cross over. Dreadlords we've seen going across the barrier. Venthyr, Kyrian walked the line between the Shadowlands and our reality. But if you want to know my full view of these like realms, is... There's the Shadowland that basically exists as the shadow of our reality. And then there's the Death Realm, which is like attached to it. The Death Realm is like a... So imagine a big coating, the Shadowland coating like I used for the Twisting Nether. And then the Realm of Death would just be like attached to it. So here's the Shadowlands, here's our reality, and then the Realm of Death is like the machine attached to it, and then Zareth Mortis would be like the point hidden away. Alright, because we got really in the weeds in Shadowlands, which is what sent people like, why do I even care? Because we are like beyond at that point, okay? But let's pull back from that. So these are the interdimensional beings we got going on. And then we got the Void Lords, which are kind of outer dimensional being along with the Light Lords. Because they can't really... When a Void... Well, I guess they can because we see dimensions. So they have to pull open our reality to manifest. And that's what put me on this link between gravity, void, black holes, void gods, and why is that a shadow spell? Okay. Now, let's think about the kind of something that's not... Kind of something that's the opposite of a black hole, even though it's not. It's not the opposite. But a supernova. Maybe if a Light Lord tried to come through, it created a supernova that shot the crystals of light. And then that would be the opposing force that a black hole came through, and then just a Void Lord comes through and it creates a black hole. And then that makes gravity and void kind of interlinked, which I think could be a cool way to see void manifest in our reality, like light manifesting as just light itself. You know? Okay. Because void is usually depicted as like the emptiness of space, and you could think of it as the vacuum of space. You know, the pull. Gravity is a pull. I can see them make that connection. Alright, so that's why I put that here. Black holes and void gods. What is the connection? Okay. Now, we basically talked about all the kind of critters, what's interdimensional, what are kind of dimensions, how the planets and moon works. But let's get back to the basics. What makes up the Great Dark Beyond? Time, space, gravity. Just like what makes up our reality. Is there a WoW periodic table? Probably, but it's very different than ours. Alright? And just like our reality, we got matter, which manifests as the elements, and energy, okay? And I've kind of wrote out how energy manifests, because we do see these kind of manifest as energy, but these are beyond, okay? These are basically the physics, okay? And these are what it manifests as, okay? Now, as an energy, we see direct connections between these and its energy form, because it's more clear-cut to me. Fel as disorder, light as holy energy, void as shadow energy, order as arcane energy, death as decay energy, and spirit as life energy. Okay? Now, as far as how it manifests material-wise, and you can maybe switch nature out for spirit, but I was trying to have an equivalent for each energy and matter. Now, matter's a little harder, because they want to say arcane makes all four of these elements, so order manifests all four of these elements, but I actually think each of these are partially manifesting one of these elements. And if you remember my Rubik's Cube, I talked about how these elements kind of emerge from the bonds between. So here's how I kind of put things. I put light, holy, and crystal to kind of blend all it, because we see Draenei use crystal technology. Alright? And crystal, we find crystals all throughout the universe. And then I have nature here. We see natural creatures, we see plants, we see animals. Spirit manifests as nature itself. Okay, the energy of life, spirit, manifests as nature. The energy of light, holy, manifests as crystals. That's how we see the Naru. Okay, now here is when we had to get more fundamental. Okay? Void manifests as shadow. Or void manifests as shadow energy. And then how do we link these? Okay. Death manifests as decay. Okay, these ones are kind of harder. Because it's like, what is dead? You know, what is death? Dead as a, like, I was like, this is why I was thinking flesh, but then I was like, blood. I was like, well, what's going on? Then I was like thinking, okay, so let's do an easy one. Disorder manifests as fel energy, and then we have fire. Okay? I do think all of these have a connection to their base element, but are also free of their base element, especially the further down they are. We see a connection between fel, fire, Holy can manifest in fire. So I do think, and then we do actually see all of these able to manifest in these forms. Like you can see void corrupted nature. And that's why I looked at it as more of a Rubik's Cube. It's like all of these forces connect across these different energies and matters, especially in matter. Now, the energy is more direct. Like the energies flowing through the cosmos are more manifestations of these. Now, as far as matter, matter is the intermingling of all these things together, and that's why we can see fel crystals, light crystals, void crystals. But I think each of the matter has a corresponding fundamental force. Okay? And that's when I linked earth with shadow with void, fire with fel and disorder, water with arcane. Because that's the thing. You do water with shadow with void, earth with arcane and order, and then air with decay and death. Or you can make death with earth. These are kind of more interchangeable, and I think that's kind of good. But also, I do see them as manifestations of the fundamental forces. So, these are the fundamental forces of the WoW universe. These are the energies and how they manifest. And through all those forces coming together, we get all this matter. And I do have cosmic kind of here, because cosmic itself seems to have its own attributes. Like we see that ceaseless expanse. It's all of them. It's all together, and we see it as a convergence of matter and energy, because it has both. It has planetary bodies, the elements in it, and oh, that's how far back it goes. I was trying to clear up the whole page, but yeah, that's the rant. Hopefully this made you think. You know, I did call it a rant, and I explained my page. I got to talk about WoW space. But that's how I think about the WoW universe, you know, through my lens of, you know, how we look at space in our reality. You know, because if you believe in the infinite multiverse, this is true too. Somewhere the WoW universe is out there, you know, and we're playing it. We're playing its universe. It's here in the internet, and we're playing it. But yeah, hopefully this got you thinking about how we got aliens, we got robots, we got gods. I did do a little G here, because if anything were going to be the gods, it'd be the first ones. But again, you could just see them as personifications of these fundamental forces. You know, you don't even have to get into any of these details. And that's why I kind of wanted to explain who's an alien, who's native to Azeroth too in this video, who's robots, and the elements. And yeah, I think I've ranted enough. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we get a new questline this week, and I'll have something very new and interesting to talk about. But yeah. Thank you for watching again. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.